Hey guys, Paul here from familywheels.ca. Thanks for tuning in to another car review for your growing family. And today I've taken my family on a little bit of a road trip for the weekend out to Banff in the brand new 2016 Acura RDX. This is the third generation of the RDX, and it's a very welcome addition to the Acura line because these smaller luxury SUVs are just selling like hotcakes these days. Think the BMW X3, the Audi Q5, the Volvo XC60, and perhaps its biggest competitor, the Lexus NX. The RDX has a number of stylistic changes that have come for the 2016 model. As well, it has a brand new powertrain. One thing I will say is that this Elite Edition that we're driving around here really leaves you wanting for nothing in terms of luxury and features on the inside. We're going to get to all of that, run it through some of our standardized tests as well, and see how the new RDX stacks up. You know, I always see the size of these bags. The RDX has been with us now since 2007. It underwent a redesign in 2013, and here we are in the brand new version for 2016. And you can get into one now for about $42,000, with the price climbing to $47 grand for this Elite package that I'm in here today. And that includes a lot of really interesting safety equipment, including adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist system. This isn't just a standard lane departure warning system that will sound an alarm whenever you go out of your lane. It'll actually steer the car a little bit for you as well to keep you in your lane. I took my hands off the wheel a couple of times to feel what that would be like, and it's a little disconcerting, to be honest with you, because the steering wheel kind of takes control, and when your hands are on the wheel, it also feels like it's kind of tugging on your steering a little bit. I didn't particularly love it. It took a little bit of getting used to, but it's just one of those bits of technology in this car that has given the RDX a top Safety Pick Plus rating. And not only because it will perform well in a collision, but also there's a lot of extra kit and technology in this car that's going to help you stop being in a collision in the first place. Now here's an interesting curveball that Acura threw at us with this car, and that's that up until now it's had a smaller 4-cylinder turbocharged engine in here. And in fact, a lot of car companies have decided to do that with their smaller crossovers as a result. To keep us on our toes here, Acura has decided to put a V6 non-turbo engine into this car, coupled with a 6-speed automatic transmission. No continuously variable transmissions here, no 9-speed automatics. So this is kind of an old school platform, to be quite honest with you, but I really like the way it drives. There's none of that turbo lag that you sometimes deal with when you're leaving the line in a hurry with a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine in a larger vehicle like this. So all in all, it's a very comfortable car to drive. And even though they have gone with a larger V6, fuel economy's actually improved just a little bit. I've had about 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers as my average in about 500 kilometers of driving here this week. There are a couple of things that I don't like about the driving feel in this car. First up is the steering. It's really light. I don't have to give it much of an input in order for it to kind of veer off course. I just prefer a little bit of a heavier steering wheel feel. And then there's also the cabin noise. It seems a little bit noisy to me when you compare it to the BMWs and Audis and Mercedes of the world. And then from a driver's seat perspective, in fact, all the seats in this car, they just aren't as comfortable as I would have hoped for. They are very flat bottomed, and as a result, they don't really kind of hold me as well as, say, the Volvo seats that we have in our daily driver, the XC70. I just kind of hope for more from a car that's competing with those European brands. But let's get to my biggest beef now with the RDX, and that is the infotainment system. I know a lot of people don't like this dual screen type situation here. I actually don't mind it. For me, it means that you can have your navigation up on one screen, your entertainment system up on another, but it's once you start actually trying to use it that it's really tough. There is just layer after layer of menus. It's convoluted. It's way more clunky than it has to be. And then then if you decide to go with the voice recognition software instead, man, I tried calling a friend, I tried scanning through radio stations, and I tried using the navigation system, and it wasn't recognizing anything. The navigation system, by the way, in my opinion, needs a lot of work. It doesn't even recognize streets in Calgary, Banff, Canmore that have been around for years and are very important thoroughfares. And when it does get me onto streets that it recognizes, it takes me onto some kind of convoluted paths that don't make the most sense. And this is a system that you have to pay more for on top of the base price. You can't get into an RDX for less than $42,000, and I think at that price, particularly for an Acura, you should be getting navigation, and a much better navigation system than this, standard. Opinions are mixed on how Acuras are looking from the front these days, because they've got this signature sheet metal grille on many of their models, and personally I think it makes them look like a little bit of an electric razor, but a lot of people do like it. Another thing that you're going to notice about the RDX is that it now comes standard with the jewel eye headlamps. They're LED and they look cool, but they're also some of the best headlamps I've ever come across for night driving. They are fantastic. They just light up the night sky, and they make it really easy to get around town late at night, or on a dark highway for that matter. Another thing that's great about the CR-V and the RDX is its rear legroom. They've always been good for this. A lot of times these small crossovers make it pretty tight in the back seat, but here I've adjusted my driver's seat to the way I like it. I'm 6'2", yet I've got enough legroom back here and headroom to be comfortable for a long trip. In fact, I had 3 of my colleagues back here the other day for a coffee run. All of them said that it was totally comfortable back here, even for long haul driving. Now, here is another thing that's great about the RDX, and that's its trunk capacity. We've got our standard amount of gear here, a couple bags of groceries, diaper bag, a soccer ball, a backpack, and a fold-up stroller. But because the trunk capacity is so great, I was actually able to fit our pooch as well. And the only other crossover of this size that I've found has been able to do that so far is the new Tucson from Hyundai. So that's a really, really great sign in terms of hauling your gear around for family life. Here's another thing we've got going on. The rear-facing child seat test is no problem at all for this car. We've got well over a foot of legroom to play with, and that means for me, even as a tall guy, it's not a problem at all fitting both a rear-facing child seat and me in this car. Really cool. But here's one of the beefs I have. If you've been a regular viewer of this program, you know that these perforated seats are a little bit of an issue for me. Let's see how they hold up to our yogurt test. I spill some yogurt on here, smear it in, and then try and wipe it off. And just like is the case with all these hundreds of tiny holes in these perforated seats, they clog up with whatever it is you're trying to clean, and it makes them a real challenge. You can get the RDX with standard, smooth, unperforated leather, but here in the Elite package, these seats are ventilated. It means that it's not an option. You have to get the perforations, and if you do get that, just know that you're gonna have to throw something down on these seats or have a bit of a hard time cleaning them up. So I have to say, the RDX is exactly what I was expecting it to be. It's smooth, it's refined, it's comfortable, it's an Acura. You kind of just come to expect that, right? One of the big questions though that I had at the beginning of this review is, would it make more sense to put your money into a CR-V at the highest level of trim or go with the RDX? Well, here's the thing, you can get into a top-of-the-line CR-V for about $37,000, and it's gonna have all of those safety features and passive technologies that I was talking about earlier in the review, but it's not going to have the V6 powertrain. It's only got a 4-cylinder, and you're going to find that resale value with the RDX is better at the end of the day as well. It's also just way more luxurious. So that decision's up to you. But here's what I really like about the RDX. I like that V6 that you can't get in the CR-V. It's smooth and it's comfortable. I really like the rear legroom in this car. That was a great surprise to me. It's way better than a lot of other crossovers of this size, and the cargo capacity is excellent as well. Where this car struggles, in my opinion, is car seat comfort. It's not quite as good as its European counterparts, and this navigation and infotainment system just has to get thrown out. It needs a lot of work, and I really think that in terms of an excellent redesign from Acura, this infotainment system just falls way short. Now, speaking of Honda products, next week on the program, we're going to be looking at another redesign from them, the 2016 Honda Pilot. It's their larger SUV, and I've got my folks coming out for a visit. We'll take it out for a road trip to British Columbia, pack it to the gills, and see how it does. Until then, make sure to subscribe to the channel. You can always find us as well online at familywheels.ca, and we'll see you in about 7 days.